I have had the honor of listening to you before, and I am an ENFJ for anybody who's wondering. A couple of you guys might know. And I knew that I was an ENFJ, but then I listened to Gay and I learned how to actually apply that to business and how to observe people in the room that I was doing business with. And I learned about the strengths and how I can, use my presence and then the strengths of others who had different personality types than me to work better and get projects done faster. So what you're going to learn today, it's not just, a theory with Myers-Briggs. It's really something that you can put to work every single day, whether you're working on a class project or you're working in the future. So without further ado, I'm not going to sit here and talk any further. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over and let us get started.
Right. Well, thank you so much. This is absolutely one of my favorite topics, and it's one of the things that I have, really put into practice. As Lane said, it's something that I believe in, and I have real world examples for you. Yeah, that's me. And this is all about harnessing your superpowers. And don't just think of them as strengths. Think of this that we're going to talk about as your superpowers. So let's go to the next slide, because this is what this is really all about. When you think about it, think of two concentric circles. In one circle, it says strengths, and the other circle, it says situation. And so the goal in your career and in life is to put yourself in as many situations where your strengths overlap the most. So the more these two circles can eclipse, the more that you're going to be in the most successful situation you can be in. And we find ourselves sometimes in situations where it just doesn't feel right. We're just not in that place, in that sweet spot, so to say. I'll give you an example. Very early in my career, I was a teaching associate at the University of Texas in my class. They call it TA. And I was really doing a great job. I was paid to do that. I was leading the class and projects in our creative advertising classes, and I was doing great. And I was, destined. I graduated magna cum laude. I was destined to be a superstar in the workplace, or so I thought. And so I got my first job, and it was a copywriter and an art director in a pretty well-known up-and-coming advertising agency in Dallas. Well, I didn't pay attention to something. And this is something I want you all to really think about after we have this discussion today. When you're interviewing for a job, I want you, and it's harder now with Zoom and with some of our remote programs, but I want you to really get a feel for the company that you would be working for. What is their work style? How do they conduct their business? And so I didn't pay attention in that first job I had when I went in to interview that it was an introverted environment. Everyone was in their cubes doing their thing, and they'd come out every now and then, but there was not a lot of interaction. And I just was blind to it. I didn't see it. And I think you're going to figure out, I'll tell you, I'm an ENTP on the Myers-Briggs, and I'm a big extrovert. Extroverts get their energy from other people and collecting ideas and exchanging ideas and talking about things. And so I got in here, I went in, first job, I was so excited. And I did okay for a little while, and then things started to deteriorate. And my performance started to slip and slip and slip. And I couldn't figure out why I was so unhappy there and why my creativity just dried up. And so eventually, it was almost a year into it, I was eking by, but it was miserable. I hated it. And I couldn't figure out why I was failing. And I felt like a failure. My boss called me in one day and he said, "We need to have a serious talk." And I said, "Yes, we do." And we both came to the conclusion that I needed to leave because I was just not playing well. I was not performing well. And it just was devastating to me. Because again, I thought I was off to a great start in my career. But what I didn't realize is that introverted environment was not going to be a place where I could succeed. My second job, I didn't even realize it, but I was in an environment where I was much more in an extroverted and out and about and meeting with the public and writing press releases and doing things where I was really, really engaged with a lot of other folks. And so because of that, I did really well. Now, I didn't understand why I loved that job so much. It took my third job for the light bulb to go on. And this is when I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I worked for a management consulting firm there. It was 4 guys who'd gotten their MBAs at Harvard, and they started a leadership and management consultancy. And we worked with Fortune 100, 200 companies. And what we would do is go in and give them a personality assessment when we work with these teams and try to help them understand how to get their strengths and situation to overlap. And that's where this circles came from. But of course, during all this, I took the Myers-Briggs and the DISC and several of those personality assessments, and the light bulb, like I said, went on. I realized the type of situations that I need to be in to be successful. Something I use very successfully in my company for many years. A lot of times people are on teams and for some reason, things are not going too well between a couple of the team members. And what we would find is it's very easy for them to go to HR, go to their human resources people, whatever, and start complaining about Jay or John, and I'm Susie, and they just are not right. They don't see it my way. I'm really having a hard time working with them. So what we would usually find and uncover in these conflicts is that it would almost always come down to a personality difference. All right, Jay's an INTJ, and this woman was an ESTP. Conflict because they don't see things the same way and they don't work the same way. Their work styles aren't the same. And so when you bring that up and bring it together, then all of a sudden it becomes more about the differences in the way you bring yourself to work or bring yourself to a project rather than you're wrong, you're right, this person's got the right way to do it and you don't. It's just saying, all right, how do you appreciate each other? And really build on that and saying, all right, I need to see it from your point of view and not so much that it's only my way. So getting to know these other personality types on your team is very important. And so today we're really focusing on you. How can you harness your superpowers? How do you put yourself in situations where you're building on your strengths? But to be really wildly successful in your career, you have to be observant of all these other types around you and how to leverage their skills, their personality differences. And so I have a big concept here, and I call it diversity of thought. We talk a lot about diversity today in all phases of diversity, different ethnic groups, different backgrounds, different sexual orientation, all the things of diversity that everyone's talking about now to make sure that we're including people and not being just tunnel vision that it's only these types that we can work with or these kind of people. So we want diversity of type of people, but you also have to have diversity of thought or you will not be innovative on your teams. Because if everyone thinks the same way, and this is very common, let me add to you too. If you're a leader or if you're on a team, it's very easy for you to hire people like yourself. I could surround myself with a whole company of ENTPs and we would have a blast. Yucking it up, talking, thinking of possibilities, doing our thing, probably getting stuff done, but not really ever putting the meat on the bone because we needed the other personality types to bring it together. And so once you can harness that, it will help you with conflict resolution. It's going to help you build stronger teams, and you will be one of the most successful leaders out there if you can really get your head around this. And it takes some work, and you got to start trying it and putting it into practice. I can usually, if I'm around a person for a while, not nail down their Myers-Briggs, but I can kind of get close to what it probably is by just talking to them. Wow. So if you're just observing people around you, you can start to get a sense for how, if you listen to all the things I'm telling you about how these different letters and types express themselves, you'll start to get a feel for what other people bring to the party, so to speak. And so it's a really, really valuable tool if you can start to do this as soon as you can. Because most people maybe don't even figure this out. They may take a Myers-Briggs or do a personality profile or strength finders or whatever. They say, well, that's cool. And they put it on the shelf and off they go and back to life as usual. But if you'll really harness this stuff, take it on and be more of a student of how to integrate personality types and create diversity of thought, you will have more innovative teams and you will be more successful. I guarantee it.